Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ankara, a city of around 5.5 million people, and it is the capital of Turkey. It also is a very cultural city and boasts a presidential symphony orchestra, the National Ballet, and opera. But this week, it's figure skating. It's a marriage between sport and art. And up next is the Paris Short program. Last week, Kemp and Yudin and Elizarov of Canada took the title in Riga. They're here this week as well, hope to get a strong finish to qualify for the Junior Grand Prix final. But both Chinese and American teams look very strong as well, and others can come out of the field. We don't know what's going to happen, but it all starts right now. Welcome, everyone, to Ankara, Turkey. There's a flyover of the facility here. Second year in a row, Junior Grand Prix has come to this city. I'm Ted Barton, along with Mark Hanratty, joining us from his studio in Nottingham. Mark, are you there?
I am indeed, Mr. Barton. And as we see the drone shots of the sights and view of the city, there's the judges panel that will have officiating over this next event. It's confirmation that the ISU takes the Junior Grand Prix to some incredible locations. Also confirmation, as we see the tech panel on your screen, that our days are too long to see any of it. So I'm very glad to see that Ankara looks like an amazing city.
It's so true, because people, the most I see is the drone shots we have on the openings of every city.
Yeah.
Because people say, oh, you must see all these different places. No, listen, airport, hotel. Sometimes we have a day, but we're so tired, we need to rest on that day, and then we get to the rink. So I'm not complaining. I love it. I love the skaters, and I love the whole thing. But you don't see a lot, that's for sure, except for the drone. Okay, we have the Paris Short coming up. We have 15 teams, pardon me. It was really interesting watching the practices, and we take a look at group number 1 on the ice, coming on the ice. We have 3 Canadian teams here and 2 American teams, 2 Chinese teams. Interesting in the Chinese teams, one is very strong, and the other one is the developmental team. You can tell the elements are a little bit weaker and whatnot. They're both coached by Hongbo Zhao, of course, Olympic champion. So they've got an interesting group of young teams. We'll see them. I think there's 2 more pair events coming up, and we'll see them a little bit later as well.
And the
British team
short program in the
British team. I sent you an email. They had a great practice session. They look like a different team from just last week, but we'll find out what happens in competition. Sorry, Mark, to interrupt you.
Well, we'll come back to that, because your text message, your message to me about the British team had me thinking all sorts of things, which we'll discuss shortly. I was just going to run through the element order, or not the order, but the required elements for the junior pairs in the 2025-2026 season. So this year, all of the teams will have to do a Group 5 lift. That's the most difficult and most valuable. And then we'll see a twist lift, which arguably is the most feared and risky. There'll be 1 throw jump, a side-by-side jump, a spin combination, a death spiral, and a step sequence. So that is the criteria laid out for all of these teams. But as you've said, even between the teams from the same nation, you can have all teams having to attempt all of these elements, but varying degrees of difficulty within that, and varying degrees of quality for sure.
Thank you for that roster elements.
Oh, thank you.
Question. And we talked about this last week, is that we do see a bigger gap between junior pairs and senior pairs than we do in the junior women, junior men, senior men, because this discipline takes a number of years to unfold. You have to be a good, strong single skater, and some people get involved in pairs and have to catch the singles up, or some people are really strong single skaters and have to learn the pair discipline. So it's time consuming without question.
And I think for most, the pairs discipline is it's the least represented in terms of numbers. So if we look just purely at a numbers game, when we consider the different disciplines, this one has the fewest entries. And for me, I'm quite open to the fact this is the discipline I didn't compete in. This is the discipline I didn't have lessons in. And maybe that's the reason, but whether that's the reason or not, my respect for this discipline is probably the greatest. And I think that what the skaters have to do is so physically demanding and so physically risky, and I just have the hugest of respect for these skaters as they head into the twist lift incoming.
Well, I did both pairs and singles, and I was forced to dance to partner people until they realized that, get this guy out of here. No, I didn't mind dance, but I love the pairs and I love the singles. Wasn't upper body strong enough to compete at the top level in pairs. And that was many decades ago. So, it was a different discipline at the time for sure. But certainly I have a tremendous appreciation for this as well, both for the women and the fearlessness in which they perform, and the man with always the women's safety first at mind.
Yeah, and I think that's the amazing dichotomy of pair skating, is the amount of strength and bravery that it takes. I might say foolish. I have my friends that are pairs skaters, and women pair skaters will joke often about what mighty warriors they are, but then I've got others who say, we're just foolish for attempting these crazy feats. But I think it's amazing, like I say, the dichotomy of having to have the strength and bravery versus also then the genteelness of care for one another. And I think it would be an interesting assessment really to see in the pairs and in the dance the psychology of the relationship, because with a pairs team there's such a physical care that one has to present over one another, and then in the dancers there is that same physicality there's a physicality, but there's often more of an emotional connection performance, and it's just an interesting insight into the different human characters that our sport requires.
Well, the top pair skaters in the world, or through the recent history, have been able to take a bit of the dance, I don't want to say concept, but the different dance storytelling and emotion, and put that into this very, very physical, demanding sport of pair skating. And then you have the best of all worlds. But that is so rare because it's so difficult to do. And Shui and Han were Olympic champions in 2022 in Beijing, and they were able to create that magic. And there's a number of other pair teams around, but we talked about this quite often. The elements take a long time to develop across the ice, so they cover the whole ice, so there's less time for performance and storytelling, and it's particularly in the juniors. They just don't have the time yet or the experience.
Yeah, I often joke, Ted, that the relationship between the couple, I think that I didn't have the mental tenacity to do this discipline because I would be too caring. I'd be too worried. I wouldn't have the commitment to throwing a partner. I would be too anxious over the group 5 lifts and the like. So, it really does take special human beings.
Yeah, it does. It's a different breed of person in pairs and in dance and in singles. So we wind down the first group's warm-up.
Interesting just to see how they all use their warm-up time to maximize their preparation.
Well, our first team is brand new to the Junior Grand Prix and not a lot of experience. There they are, 15-year-old Brianna Dion and 19-year-old Jacob Cote from Canada. This is here to gain experience. This is the very first event and international competition. They're coached by Marie Palladini and Kelly Johnson.
Skating together for just a little over a year, third at the Canadian Novice Championships in their first international together to hip hip chin chin.
The subject for tonight's lecture is rhythm, the beat, the driving force that holds our lives together. Without rhythm, your heart would beat. Without direction, without movement, without shape. And so tonight we say, hip hip, chin chin, the rhythm section. subject for tonight's lecture is rhythm. The beat. The driving force that holds our lives together. And so tonight we say, hip hip, chin chin. Hip hip, chin chin. Hip hip, chin chin.
Well, opening the pairs short program from Canada, Brianna Dion and Jacob Cote. And I think it's so interesting to see, Ted, the comparison if we were to take an energetic screenshot of the team before the performance, then afterwards there was understandable nervous energy and anxiety over it being their first international together. And now I see from Jacob in particular, a huge sigh of relief after a job well done.
Yeah, a good debut, no question. There's 7 elements in this short program. Only one is under review. They've cleared that up, the double twist, the top of the program. So that's a good start. They're here to gain experience. They're not no expectations on results here. Is how well can we do an international competition our first time out. There's a look at the twist. There's no split there. It's a level 1. So missing 3 of the features. The double axels a little bit later. Hand goes down for Brianna, but that's okay. Group 5 reverse lift. Difficult entry. The woman comes in backwards. Pretty good flow in the first part of that lift. Change of position, change of hold. And that comes in level 4 with a minus GOE. So they're losing some quality points on their base value of that element. The throw double Lutz. So 4 out of the 7 elements are in the minus GOE, so they're losing points on quality, but that's normal for a young team coming into their first international competition.
And how wonderful for Brianna and Jacob to have this experience alongside Eva and Jonathan, the winners of last week's event, so that they can come into this with the comfort of others, knowing that they are on the same team as others with much more experience to help guide them through.
Absolutely.
And we know the Canadian skaters do make a wonderful effort being team and united and in solidarity support.
Yeah, they do. There's a big sort of family when they come together and they're all excited. And strategically, Andre Bourgeois is the next gen director. Strategically, they're working towards getting medals at the juniors. At the same time, they're bringing young ones in and trying to make sure that there's another generation going to take over from the existing generation who will age out in a year or two. So there's a strategy to bringing teams on board. They have to meet a strict criteria, that's for sure. And it's interesting, they do a review at the end of the competition. They sit down with Andre, they go through, did you meet your goals? How did it go? What did you learn? What did you, just to talk out their experience and what is up next for them. So it's a really good process they do at Skate Canada there. Let's take a look at the scores for Brianna and Jacob. 42.69, they're the first team out. I think in many ways the scores don't matter. It's their experience that does. A little fist bump there. A little side one. But they've got another free program coming up. First international competition. Here is a look at our second team. Represent China. Mu Yanhu and Zhexuan Wang. 15 and 16 years old. No international competitions of note for this young team. They're coached by the great Hongbo Zhao and choreographed by Wei Shang.
And the music choice for Hu and Wang at Charleston for their short program. China's Hu and Wang complete their short program, and you could sense before the performance that Moshan Hu was anxious about the double axel. You could see her towards the end of the 6-minute warm-up earlier. She was simulating the jump takeoff, and that was the same just before they took to the ice. So she had an anticipation of the side-by-side jumping pass, and unfortunately it overwhelmed her a little bit and she incurred the fall. But the team obviously has all the trimmings to be a team of the future. Just as you said, Ted, earlier developmentally.
Yeah, I would venture to say that this team is going out quite early in their partnership. You know, they've got a lot of skills to learn here, both in singles as we watch the double axel, watch her too far back on the heel and has to take the fall. But, you know, obviously in China they have great pair skating. Here's the Group 5 step up lift, the different types of entrances to that Group 5 lift. That's more simple and a very basic level, so there's no high levels of difficulty on that. Here's the throw double flip, but you can see how big that is. That'll turn into a triple quite nicely. So experience being gained here under the guidance of, you know, strong pair dynasties of the past in Chinese skating.
Yeah, and when they've got coaches that are Olympic champions, as they do with Hongbo Zhao, they obviously are exposed then to great information and visual. But even when you've got a great coaching staff, and even if you train in an environment with other great skaters, competition itself can ignite a desire to utilize the information you're given even more.
Yeah, and you mentioned Hong Bojo doesn't like to travel outside of the country. So he doesn't come to these competitions, but he does, you know, monitor them probably online.
To the team leader last week, and she was, because I'm asking, where's Hong Bojo? Saying that the work is done at home, and the teams travel not always with them.
46.09 for the short program, and that'll put them currently into first place. Next up, the champions from last week, week number 1 in Riga. 17-year-old Eva Kemp, 21-year-old Yudin and Elizarov. This is their 4th Junior Grand Prix season. Missed most of last year because of an injury, but they've certainly come back with great style and great determination.
And last week when they competed in Riga, they added almost 5 points to their ISU personal best short program score. Let's see if they can boost that even further today in Ankara. Eva Kemp and Jonathan Elizarov hoping to continue in their winning form from last week in Riga. And it's really interesting to be able to make the direct comparison from week on week. So their results and the score sheet from the judges last week up for debate as to how much more they can add. And I think they have done just that. They explained that they finished the competition on Friday last week. They had Saturday off, Sunday travel to Turkey, and then Monday, Tuesday, some training, Wednesday official practices, and now they're here. What can you do in that very limited scope of time with which to improve your score? It looks like the death spiral has been one of the focuses. That's got an extra level here. The split twist.
Just a level 2. She doesn't get the split on that. And here's the double axles. They were very solid. Great synchronization
those
on the
better
landing.
than last week.
Yeah. I think this is a better overall performance. This is a little bit forward on the landing. She was better last week on that, but still, let's see, is there minus GOE on that? No, there isn't. Here's the back inside death spiral. This is in at a level 4 with a plus GOE of 1.60. Oh, no, that's the lift, sorry. With a 0.58 plus GOE. So they're adding quality scores to all their base values of these elements. And this is a different team than we saw. Very consistent from last week to this week. But over this past year, wow, what an improvement. A lot of work with the choreographers, giving them the type of, great dismount on that, giving them the type of confidence and understanding what they have to do to be special. Good unison on the first side of that change combo spin, losing that synchronization near on the second side.
And as we look back at the step sequence here and the combination of turns, it's interesting to be able to make that direct comparison with what the tech panel and the judges from Riga to this event think. And it's so similar in the scoring, which again only serves to reaffirm where Eva and Jonathan are. And so alongside their coach Kevin, they're getting real confirmation of this is where we are in August. And now where are we going to be come Nationals in January?
Where do we go with this? They're going to skate seniors at Nationals. Season's best, 63.94, so they upped that score from last week, Mark, and that's a great start to this season. Of course, they got the free to go. If they can nail that down, they will punch their ticket right now in the second week to the Junior Grand Prix final, but that's still yet to be skated. We'll find out.
Jonathan, super cool in reacting to that. I think Eva still, she wants to give a little bit more excitement. He's playing it cool, I think, in the kiss and cry to this.
Such an improvement in Eva in her carriage of herself, her facial expressions, her engagement into the not just the technical part, but the whole program in connection with the music. Sandra Bezic, you talked about, one of the great choreographers over time, and she's working with them as well. So there's so much going on with this team, and we've seen the improvement. And they might have mistakes here or there, may not have a great skate on some days, but the improvement is there, and I'm sure to stay and to grow.
And it's interesting because, you know, when we consider these skaters on the junior circuit, for coaches globally, there will be a preconceived idea of what a skater could be. So when I first saw Eva Kemp, the current leader, the winner last week, I would have never have predicted that she would be a skater that could go up into the sevens in terms of presentation. And yet work has been done, and she has been aided, and she has worked to deliver it. So it's a good lesson for me just to make sure that we don't judge a book on its initial cover.
No, exactly. It is a good example for young skaters that even if you don't feel comfortable or confident in a performance or a storytelling, you can learn that, but you have to pay attention to the coaches and to the choreographers in particular, and listen to what not only they tell you to move or how to move your arms, but to the feeling and the emotion and the concept behind that. And that takes some real openness of that skater to listening and working with the choreographers. And Sandra, of course, and many of our other Canadian choreographers are so brilliant at that. Working, giving the movement is one thing. Bringing the soul out of the skater or out of that person into that movement is another. And that's what makes a choreographer special.
And I think, you know, when I consider obviously that's a very strong skating nation, and as you say, Canada with the likes of Julie Marcotte and all these, you know, utterly incredible coaches and contributors, the skaters are more exposed to potentially getting that information. For those that are watching now that are skaters aspiring, I think then now they have access to so much information online for free. So if you're not exposed to that fortunate caliber of coaching staff, I really want to kind of press upon the importance of the e-learning that is available, either e-learning or just viewing learning that aspiring pair skaters or single skaters or dancers can do.
Absolutely. That's a very good point, the e-learning on the ISU site. And also many of the national organizations, we have that on ours. On the Skate Canada site, there's learning videos and e-learning for the coaches and for the skaters as well. So it's a good point. Do we have any questions that we have not answered yet, Mark?
No, I do not believe that we have any that have come through, and thus it is opportunity to ask anybody who wants to send a question. I actually do believe, though, that when I had a sneaky little check on my social media in between the women's event and this short program, I have had a question come in to me. And the question is there any instance of skating lore that you guys love? So this will be in reference to the Run-Through podcast that I was telling you, Ted, that I've been listening to. Adam Rapon and Ashley Wagner have created this alongside a journalist called Sarah Hughes, not Sarah Hughes, the Olympic champion, but journalist Sarah Hughes. They have created a podcast which had a lore series, and it was going through the history of our sport, and it covered each of the 4 disciplines. And it was just fascinating to listen back to memories of, I've studied the sport avidly and gone back through the archives. It was just so interesting to hear further analysis of that. I wonder if there's a period of time in pairs as we watch it that you particularly fondly remember.
Well, you have to talk about Godiev and Grinkov 1988 Olympics. That was something that was absolutely spectacular and very heaven-like. It was amazing. Something so special. Also, 2003 World Championships in Washington was special as well. 2010 Olympic Games, Hongbo Zhao. So,
Yes.
What are your thoughts? What do you remember from Paris skating?
Well, I suppose it's interesting. That's where I get excited about, the humans of the sport. And so listening to this lore series, there was discussion then upon the likes of when Tamara Moscovina was a skater with Alexei Mishin, and they went on to, as coach so many Olympic champions themselves. And it was interesting to hear about the Protopopovs, the famous pair team who were 68 Olympic champions. And I think that was the time of when pairs elements were being created, and it's wonderful to hear.
I'd also have to go back. I'd also have to say Sally Pelletier at the 2002 Olympic Games. Not because of what they did technically, and that was very clean, but I think they were one of the teams that were able to take a story. And there's a great documentary piece that we did on Sally Pelletier and Laurie Nickel, how that program got built and some of the programs that didn't work for them. And it's really fascinating. That'll be available at some point to learn the development and the concepts behind a program that became magical. Everybody does jumps, everybody does lifts, everybody does the throws, and yes, you've got to do it. But can you also create and sprinkle magic throughout that program? And Sally Pelletier did on that day, that's for sure.
It's also really
sounds a
interesting.
little biased, I know, I'm Canadian, but it was a special moment. Yeah.
But it is really interesting then, referencing Sally Pelletier and the wonderful skating that they had. It's also interesting to think back about the performances, the great performances that our sport has offered, and then to think about them under the light of the system that we have. So 90s skaters, and even thinking about the late great Shishkova Naumov and the wonderful skating that they offered. And when I watched that back recently after the tragedy of their loss of life on the plane crash, I then was reminded of their brilliance, and their brilliance would still carry weight and quality 30 years later.
And it wouldn't be fair without mentioning Sikoritsky and Bereshnaya, because they were absolutely brilliant as well. I mean, that was a controversial moment, but if you take a look at their pair skating alone, it was absolutely brilliance as well. So there's a lot, and we've just covered 5 minutes. So here we go. For the next generation of seniors upcoming, gaining experience. Our next team represents the Czech Republic, Czechia. 17-year-old Deborah Ann Cohen and 22-year-old Luka Vochkowska. They teamed up in 2023, were 18th at the 2024 World Junior Championships. They're coached by Peter Bedard.
And Deborah and Lukasz have a new style of short program, and Deborah particularly loves this Latin vibe, and they work with a well-known Czech Latin dancer to try to give that energy into this program choreography as they skate to I Like It Like That by Rodriguez. Deborah Anna Cohen and Lukas Vochozka representing Czechia. And last season, Deborah had pneumonia and was continually unwell throughout this season, Ted, just trying to get back to competitive energy, but the pneumonia so sidelined their immune system. And so they were wanting to have a big comeback, having been as high as 8th in Junior Worlds the year before. I can see such progress in the team, and there's so much to admire, and you can tell that Deborah in particular really loves this Latin vibe, but they elected to go simpler on the throw, and it didn't play off.
No, and you lose your energy in a program that requires the energy when you make a mistake that's quite, probably never make on a throw double flip. Here's the twist at the top of the program. That's a level 2 triple twist. Here's the double flip. You can see, wow, it's weird. She just sort of collapsed in the upper body and went down, didn't need to. There's the double axels. And he has a challenge on that. Both hands go down. And they're 46.78. He won't beat that score here. Let's see what happens on this lift. Does he bring the arm down a little bit? Right there, you can see the elbow break. Push back up. And it is in at Group 5, level 2.
I feel as we look at the step sequence that their skating skills are worthy of comfortable 5s out of 10 at least. But I think, and the program had so much in it, but I just think there was a lot going on, and it maybe a little too much at this stage, or maybe it was just because it's their first event of this season and so it's not got the clarity that we'll see from it. I think the program's really good. I think they're good. I think this score is not reflective of that today, or will not be.
Yeah, it will not be, Yeah, they look like new to the program and new to the season, which is true. It's only the second week, of course. And I think they're most disappointed with the fall, who wouldn't be. But that's not the whole picture. Big part of it. And they're going to be looking for a much bigger score than what they're going to see here. So they'll have to regroup and get past that and focus on what's coming. And that's the free program. It's 38.97 for Deborah, Anna, and Lukasz. And that'll put them currently in 4th place. Now the job of the coaches and the skaters is to park that and move forward. What are our goals in the free program? How do we regroup? Because you constantly have to do that in a long career.
Peter's a great guy for that job.
Well, our next team represents Great Britain. 21-year-old Neem Davison, 20-year-old Daniel Borisov. They were 10th last week in Riga. They're coached by Trudy Ottmans.
And great to have heard you acknowledging, Ted, that whilst they may have been 10th in the event last week, their potential in practice is of a team capable of much more.
Well, Mark, here's an example. I really, really like this team. They had a really tough skate today. There's no question. But the qualities, if you take a look, you peel back the mistakes and take a look at what good assets they have and what qualities they have, there's a lot going on for this team. However, it looks like they haven't done enough run-throughs and enough time. And you were telling me a little bit about their rink closes, and they have to skate at nighttime. So there's another example where the teams or a skater can be so much better if they had the time and the resources that others have.
Yeah, and as we look back at Neve and Daniel's program, it's interesting because it's so hard when, you know, Neve, they've both relocated, they've relocated their lives, we look at the double axles, and I know that the amount of commitment, financial, physical, mental, every aspect of the commitment as we look back at the split triple twist from the families is then, it's challenging to then see mistakes like that happen and to justify it. I suppose what I feel so privileged to be able to mention is that when we commentate in this event, we can see there a team that have, as you say, potentially as much to offer as any other. They have seemingly all the right attributes to go on to be very successful. And, you know, it's just unfortunate that on this occasion, the parents or the skaters even don't have the awareness that we have of what could come. They might just be living very much in the moment, and then today get a score lower than last week.
Yeah, they're going to look at this and say, oh no, are we on the right track? What's happening? And all that kind of stuff. They're not looking at where they are in their long journey. They have all the assets and attributes that are required to be a top team. Now, do they have the facility? Do they have the ice time? Do they have the will to continue on? And these we don't have the answers to those. But certainly, if you know, it's easy to talk about the mistakes. That's the easy part. Where can you find the qualities? I see a lot of qualities in this team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, they're particularly not lucky to find each other. They've brought each other into their lives, but, you know, they both jump in a clockwise direction. They've found each other, and they found a physical, brilliant match. And now it just needs a bit more time and cooking process.
Well, this score of 40.60, certainly not what they're looking for or what they're capable of, but it is the reality of today. That'll put them currently into 4th place. That'll be frustration for sure as they leave the kiss and cry area, move on to the next stage of how they get past that. Our next team represents Italy, 15-year-old Paulina Polman and 16-year-old Gabriele Renoldi. They are the second-ranked Italian junior team. They were 15th at Junior Worlds last year.
Paulina and Gabriele will skate to the same short program that they used last season. Shine on you and Crazy Diamond. Shine on you, Crazy Diamond, indeed.
So
A little shrug of the shoulder from Polina Polman to partner Gabriele Renoldi. And this team haven't had the optimal preparation. Gabriele finished high school quite recently, so had a lot of exams, and they only started training again fully 3 weeks ago. So whilst they're not as prepared as they'd like, you can see the reaction from Polina. All things considered, a pretty good skate for the Italian team.
Yeah, certainly early in the season they're wearing that. You can see that, but that you've got to get started somewhere. And depending on how your life goes, you know, some people can't train all summer long or don't have the number of hours. So the first 1 or 2 or 3 junior Grand Prix is always a little rough for some skaters. May not have the same resources. Here's a look at the triple twist. That is in at a level 2. No split on that entry, the double axles. And that comes in on a quarter, the landing. And the triple Lutz throw, that worked well. Group 5 axle lift. Level 3. Pretty good ice coverage there. Could use a little bit more flow and speed. This was really well done. Very difficult to get the unison on
the arm yeah, that arm movement with the left arm on the bam bam and the music was so cool. That was the most musically pertinent part, and I think it was one of the most difficult elements in which to find musicality when you're trying to stay in sync with one another.
And there in the kiss and cries, Luca De Mattei, their coach.
Luca does a brilliant job working with the International Skating Union on developing in other nations, and I seem to see regularly and repeatedly Luca, working with developing skating nations, and he's such a good, friendly skater, so open and embracing of others, and what a great.
And during COVID, he did a lot of work for the ISU online. He's at a training center there. 48.74 for Polina and Gabriele, and that will put them for the moment second place. And the German, he almost gets an elbow in the face as she apologizes. We shouldn't be laughing on that, but
she is, at least. He is. We're okay.
Our next team represents the United States of America. Sophia Jarmoc and Luke Witkowski. Sophia's 16, but her birthday is just a few days away on the 26th of this month. Luke is 19.
Skating to just the way you are.
Pop, pop, it's showtime. Showtime, showtime, showtime. Guess who's back again? Oh, they don't know countdown. Oh, they don't know countdown. I bet they know as soon as we walk in. I'm wearing Cuban links. Yes, I know mix. Inglewood's finest shoes. Don't look too hard, might hurt yourself. Known to give the color red the blues. Shit. I'm a dangerous man with some money in my pocket. Keep up. So many pretty girls around me.
The 2024 Novice Champions of America, Sofia Jarmoc and Luke Witkowski. And this truly an example of the development of a team. As I say, 2024 Novice Champions, 2025 competing in junior international events following a 4th place podium result, pewter result at the Junior Championships in America. And it's just interesting to see now the charisma that Luke, who is studying economics major at Harvard College, is displaying.
Gosh.
He's giving as much energy at the end of his performance as he was mid-performance.
Well, enjoying the team camaraderie and so much fun traveling to Europe with your team and all else that he does in his life and school. And nice wally step
so
up.
Hard.
Yeah. Double axel. Unfortunately, she didn't get all the way around. It's under rotated and has to flip out of that. There's the toe double flip. Group 5. Axle lift, take off. The one hand grab the blade feature. And this is a level 3. So getting 3 out of the 4 features required for the top level of difficulty. The back inside disc bar at the end of the program, basic level. So didn't
Just wondering,
gain anything on that. Go ahead.
Their throw has gone in as a throw triple flip. So that has a much higher base value.
Oh,
so
did I call it double?
No, it was double. But in
Oh.
the system, it's gone in as a throw triple.
Oh, well, let me just listen to this. Hold on.
Yeah. So throw double flip, 3 points in value. A throw triple, 5.3. So that's fairly significant. So I just wonder when that will be
I can't hear it.
reviewed. But nevertheless,
I can't hear them. I don't know why.
so that will have a pretty
Hold on.
seismic impact on the score. Ooh. Again, we're
Okay.
treated to hearing the tech panel.
So it has been noted that element 3 needs to be checked again, because right now it is in as a triple flip, as you're right, and it's being looked at again.
I wonder where, because it didn't come in as a review, so I wonder where that's assessed, who calls that late review. Oh yes, we can see in the system now that that is currently under review, so soon we'll see the impact of that review on the technical element score for Sophia and Luke.
And the panel is now correcting it through a throw double Lutz. There it is.
So 2.3 points come off,
Yeah.
and the consequential impact on the grade of execution as well.
And there is a good example of a review of the list, and even if it was required by some referee or whoever listening to say, please check element number 3 again. They're not telling them what to do. They're just saying, check it. And they did, and then they made the correction. So a really good system in that way, and it can be missed. It can go in. You're looking at so many different things, and they read back the list. But in that case, it just got missed, and then it got caught, and then it got corrected. So very good process to go through.
And I mean, Sophia and Luke will know if they were to have had the score, which would have potentially been over 50, they know what they're capable of. They know what they delivered. They would have been thinking, oh, that's every skater will have a rough gauge for where they're at.
Exactly. 48.25, and that'll put them in 3rd place, and he's thrilled with that. He almost had more points, so.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
Think how he would have reacted.
Well, they're in 3rd place. There's the look at the standings so far after 2 groups. 2 more to come after the ice resurfacing. Interesting event, no question. Mark, what do we have coming up in the video playback?
Well, now we will be treated to the interview of the team that are currently leading, Eva Kemp and Yudin and Elizarov. I spoke with them last week following their triumph in Riga, and you can listen to that shortly. And then back to the Figure Skating Basics series, where Ted and I had some comical analysis of the difference between pairs and ice stats.
Okay, we'll take a short break. We'll be back right after this.
Eva, Yanni, huge congratulations. Now, you've had success on the Junior Grand Prix previously, but obviously last season you've had some bad injuries that sidelined you from competition. Has that been what's motivated you to return even stronger than before?
Yeah, 100%. I think even the competitions that we were able to do last year, not all of them went the way we wanted. So also using that as motivation to come back. Yeah.
And I would say our training has been pretty similar from last year and this year. We've kind of just stayed on top of our injuries a bit more this year and been a little more like proactive with them. And yeah.
Well, we saw huge improvement, and both Ted and I were just remarking on how senior you looked in your delivery of everything that you performed this week in Riga. Is that a consideration? Are you considering to compete in seniors as well this year?
Yeah, we're doing senior domestically this year, so we're kind of using that as a stepping stone into senior.
And the long program, Sandra and David Wilson made it, and obviously they're amazing choreographers, and they really pushed us to kind of skate more into the ice and like more as a pair team instead of thinking about the elements. So we've been working really hard on that, and every competition we went to domestically, Sandra's like, okay, this is what I like, this is what I didn't like.
Oh, wow.
Fix it. Yeah, so it was awesome. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because Sandra also gave me a rundown, and even the email showed the detail which this amazing woman obviously gives, and she did mention that you are using a lift by the great Olympic champions Katerina Gordeeva and Sergei Grinkov, and is that, Olympic gold? Is that a goal that you've got for the future to emulate the success of those that you're copying now?
Yeah, of
I think
course.
so, yeah.
I think it is for everyone.
Yeah,
but
that's everyone's
I think
goal.
really just like looking up to how they're skating and stuff. They're such amazing skaters. So just trying to replicate that.
So before your Olympic gold, before senior competition, when will we see you next on the Junior Grand Prix?
We're going to be in Turkey next week, so back-to-back competitions. We're excited, feel ready. Obviously, this competition was a good confidence boost, so yeah.
And Coach Kevin and Sandra will definitely be giving you some more for next week, so hopefully it'll be even better. So good luck, guys.
Thank
Thank you.
Welcome to the basics, the difference between ice dancing and pair skating. Now, I was a pair skater. Big, long elements, dynamic, risky, that lifts above the head all the way down the ice. It's pretty incredible stuff. You throw or assist the lady across the ice. Amazing discipline.
Yes, you can almost tell the ice dancers when they walk into the venue. I did ice dance, and we tend to be much more dramatic and expressive, and the ice dancers will try to seamlessly weave their elements into the choreography with perhaps a greater focus upon the aesthetic and the storytelling of the performance than the pair skaters.
Also, in ice dance, skaters must maintain dance hold, and should they separate, they cannot be for more than 2 arms lengths apart. This rule adds an interesting layer of challenge. It's fascinating to see how the ice dancers skillfully maneuver through complex elements while maintaining such close contact.
And one of the interesting things about pair skating, the men will use a thing called firm grip, which is essentially kind of a glue that goes on their hands to ensure that the grips between the woman and the man stay firm, because it's very, very dangerous in a death spiral or in a lift if those hands slip. So that's important. Do you use firm grip?
No, the ice dancers don't use firm grip, and the difficulty, the complexity and the risk of the pair's elements will not just dictate the grip that's needed between the partners, but also even down to the costume, whereas the ice dancers will be as elaborate as they possibly can in their costuming, and that is the first way in which to differentiate pair skater and ice dancer.
But don't let the beauty of ice dancing fool you in that it's not difficult. It's incredibly difficult to perform at that level, to have their difficult lifts and their difficult elements, both disciplines, spectacular.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ankara, Turkey. Day number 1. We're on event number 2, the junior pairs short program. Group number 3 taking to the ice now, and some interesting teams have skated, and the leaders after so far halfway through this event. Kemp and Dion and Elizarov, they had a great skate last week, and another strong short program here. And we'll see what comes up in the next 2 groups. Mark, do we have any more questions that have come in?
I haven't noticed any more questions coming in, so that's
so you're going to have
to request them.
So you're going to have to ramble. Okay, carry on.
You know I can do that easily, though.
Yeah.
I suppose what I find interesting in this week's pairs event, Ted, is just the number of teams that are competing in back-to-back Junior Grand Prix assignments. Now, there are 7 stages of the ISU Junior Grand Prix this year, and 4 of those 7 stages will have junior events. Now, for any of the teams aspiring to
junior
compete at the final
junior pair events.
Four of the 7 Junior Grand Prix events will have a pairs category. So for quite a lot of the teams, they have to then do back-to-back assignments. Now, as it turns out, for the likes of Eva Kemp and Jonathan Elizarov, it makes sense to do back-to-back assignments because they don't have to travel from Canada and make transatlantic trips. You know, independently, now they're traveling within Europe, which isn't so expensive and kind of traumatic to your sleep schedule. But it's just going to be interesting to see how much can the teams make a difference from week to week with only a couple of training days between assignments.
Yeah, and the next junior pair event will take place in Bangkok, which is unusual because it's only 1 rink, and usually having 4 disciplines, you need to have 2 rinks. But Bangkok, in 2 weeks from now, will host the Junior Grand Prix number 4, and those days are really long. We arrive on the Monday night, and the Tuesday morning's practices right away. Usually we have a day in between to prepare, but now it's going to go right into practices, then actually 4 days of competition, because with only 1 facility, they need enough time for practices and competition as well. So the competitions will run actually on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So 4 days of competition. Other junior Grand Prix are generally around 3 days of competition. So, and then the final pair event happens in not Baku, I guess it's Gdansk? Probably Gdansk.
Yes.
Gdansk, yeah.
Gdansk, yeah. It's going to be weird for us next week when we go to Italy not to have a pairs category, and it's going to be strange for us to have the luxury of time, Ted. Rather than a full day.
I was wondering if you're going to bring that up. Yeah, exactly. Starting like 2:30 or something. I mean, we still go to around 9 or 10 o'clock at night, but starting around 2:30 is absolutely glorious for us because normally we start at around 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning and finish 10 o'clock at night, and we're on air the whole time. So, which we love doing. It's a passion, so it's not hard to do that way. But they're long days, and so next week's going to feel, different. Yeah.
Well, there'll be
nice.
time to work out. I can take you to the gym, Ted, and we'll do a few thousand.
No, I'll coach
kilometers.
You, okay.
On the...
How about
okay.
that? Okay.
That sounds okay.
Another rep, Mark. Let's go. Yeah.
We've got Ted hot in off the press from the wonderful Teresa at the ISU. Some questions have indeed come in, and there are some brilliant questions from around the skating community and those fans that are watching. And there's a really interesting question that's come in, which needs more time than we can give it, but we'll try to give a brief synopsis. The question from at SL Katie's, can you explain what bumps elements up in level, for example, in the spins, the step sequence, and the twists, etc.? And each of the elements, there are 7 elements in this junior pair short program. For each of those, there are clear criteria pertaining to the level. Not for all 7, for the side-by-side jumping pass. There's no level assigned to that, but there's clear criteria which can be found online for anybody. It's hard to give you within the time that we've got each and every criteria pertaining to level for all of the elements, but it's very obvious. So for this here, there's a split 45-degree angle between the lady's legs, which is a possible level. Then there's a potential level when the man drops his arms below shoulder height. The other feature would be when there's a clear catch where there's no extra support. And then the fourth one, Ted Barton, I do believe is the intricacy of the steps and transition into
Into,
twist.
yeah.
Is that correct?
And, you know, the philosophy in the very beginning of building this system that we currently are under was the added degree of difficulty required extra flexibility, strength, and risk, and all those things. And that was based on, you know, positions perhaps, or some difficult steps coming in, as you mentioned, on the twist, the hands dropping down to the side. What makes that element more difficult? And you have a list of sometimes more than 4. I mean, there could be a list of 6 features, and if you take 4 of those features and get them, then you're going to get a level 4. So they earn points. You have a base value of a simple one, and then you add points based on the level of difficulty that you have been able to exhibit. And then on top of that, you can add points or lose points based on the quality of the exhibition. So the thing is that how difficult do I want to get? And if my difficulty is if it's so difficult that I do it poorly, am I really gaining anything, right? So there comes the strategy of a coach in the young level saying, you know, let's just go for a level 2 and try to get a +1. That'll be better than, you know, a level 3 and a -1, right? So, yeah, it's kind of hard to explain very quickly. It's a massive rabbit hole if you went down that.
Do you
But,
know what
it's
I also
interesting.
think, Ted, having recently watched, you know, pair skating from decades ago, good quality is good quality.
Yeah.
And even though there are criteria, when a skater is well trained in the sport and in our art form and in our competitive field, if the technique is good and the coach knows how to express good technique to the student, they'll get good levels. As the levels are almost a byproduct of the good.
Yeah, absolutely. Our next team represents Germany, 13-year-old Sophia Krebs and 17-year-old Ilya Trofymov. Pardon me, sorry. They're new to international competition. This is their very first Junior Grand Prix event.
And Sophia and Ilya come in as 2-time advanced novice champions of Germany, and they will skate to the Frank Sinatra classic, Fly Me to the Moon.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me.
Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words,
Sophie Krebs and Liget-Trofymov representing Germany in their first ever junior international competition. And a team that in this summer they train in Berlin alongside Minerva Fabian Haza and Nikita Volodin, the world medalists. And there you can see actually coaches from the German Skating Federation here to support them. As you can see, Sophie just taking her hand to her head, and that will be in reaction to the fall that they had on the double loop. But for me, Ted, I really appreciate that the choreography was in fitting, and Yoti Politowakis, an ice dancer, working with them has really helped to style them out at this early stage of their career.
And she's just 13 years old. I mean, you know, that's amazing. They're doing, it's nice, look at here, the hand goes down to the back of the heels and then just could not keep the weight on top of the skates. Has to take the fall. There's the back inside death spiral. And that is in at a level 1. So just 1 out of the 4 features. And as we mentioned, the list of features is different on all the elements. Here's the Coupe 5, reversive, most difficult entry lift in para skating, change of position, change of hold. And that is in the level 3. So that's the last lift, the last element in the short program, which is unusual. We haven't really seen the lift as the last element, but there it was.
And in terms of getting points for these pair teams, Group 5 lift at level 3 is over 6.5 points. So level 4 would be 7 points, and that's the most valuable for this team of all their elements. It's a big money points earner, and yet we come to assume it's a safe one. It's a guaranteed one, as we see some signs sent out from Ilya and Sophie to those watching. And that, we have to acknowledge, I think that's Stefan Lindemann, who was a junior world champion himself, who had some of the biggest jumps ever.
Yeah, huge. Score is 38.67 for Sophie and Ilya, and that'll put them currently in the 8th place. And Stefan Lindemann, I remember him at European Championships, and he was so exciting and so powerful, and he had some great skates, and he was in the thick of it always. As we take a look at our next team representing Canada, Julia Quattrocchi and Etienne Lacasse.
And this team teamed up just 4 months ago when both of their previous partners stopped skating. And their goal for this event is to show who they are and their chemistry and compatibility as a team despite their very little time together. And they assume their start position for their short program. And I think, if I can lip read properly, Etienne has just said to his partner Julia, "Good job." Better than that, I would say that given the very limited time that this team have been together, it's an excellent job. Incomprehensible, really, that they've managed to represent Canada at a Junior Grand Prix after 4 or 5 months together. It is amazing, and and that's lovely to see Eva and Jonathan, the leaders, out to support the other Canadian pair teams.
And, you know, you can see this team, both of them have done pairs before, and a little push and pull in between, but the basic elements are there. This is going to be a very good, they're already a good team, but this can be a very good team as they travel the journey, as they get more mileage, more experience together. And we take a look at the twists. It is in at a level 4, so a double twist level 4. There's the double axles. She has to step out of that. There's the group 5 reverse lift. Good up. Watch the turns. Nice ice coverage by Etienne. Change of position, change of hold. Yeah, group 5 reverse lift, level 4 with a plus GOE of 1.40. That's huge. Throw double Lutz. On the back inside death spiral. That's in just a base level.
And every element you could see Julia's intensity and facial expression. She was utterly committed, and the choreography done by former world ice dance medalist Andrew Pogier. Great piece. I mean, difficult exits, but she was utterly committed to the interpretation as Desjardins joins them, their coach.
Well, you know, it's a good piece of music to be intense, and that fits that character at the moment. But she's focused and intense, and that's a good combination. With that music. Let's take a look at the scores. 53.22. Both of them go, whoa, that's awesome. And that just shows the qualities of this team early on in their partnership, if you will. They're 10 points away from their teammates, but still second place at the moment. Nice job. Great start to this partnership. Our next team represents Slovakia. Laura Heckova and Alex Valky. She is 14, he is 15. Junior Slovakian champions. Also 14th at Junior Worlds. This is their second season, and last
is one of my favorite pieces of choreography.
Sorry.
Really love this program, the Adams family. Well, 4 of the teams competing in Ankara in the pairs short program competed last week in Riga. And Laura Heckova and Alex Valky, I was ready to say, are going to make the biggest jump in score from event to event because it was going so swimmingly. The double axels, which they had the fall on last week, done comfortably and done confidently this week. They've actually, in the system, they had a level 4 in their twist. It's now been reviewed to 3. All going so brilliantly. And then the back inside death spiral. Ugh.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. We'll have to take a look at what exactly happened because it can certainly do that element, but it can slip away on you very easily. Let's take a look inside the program here. Here's the twist. This is in at a level 3, so double twist level 3, 3.66 points. There's double axles. That was nice.
Nice.
Very solid. Here's the throw double Lutz. And there's the group 5 reverse lift. That looked pretty good coming up. Level 4, so all 4 features accomplished. Change of position, change of edge, grab the blade. Difficult dismount right there. Let's see what happens here. Just right there, he slips off the edge or gets his heel caught in the ice. And that just goes down and has a 0 value. That's so unfortunate.
And, for context, that's death spirals, depending on the level that they would have achieved, we're talking round about 3 points and then the fall. So 4 points immediately gone, not to mention the impact it would have on the components. So it's going to be better than last week for Laura and Alex, scores-wise. And yet, you've got 4 or 5 points on the table to add for the next event. So whatever they see, hopefully they can gain some comfort knowing that it could so easily be much more.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a shock sitting in the kiss and cry about something that you never expected to happen and how you cope. I mean, it was at the end of the program. It didn't really affect the rest of the program. But it's a skill that needs to be learned, is how you just park it and move forward. Season's best at 46.27. You can see Laura go, oh, okay, that's not too bad. And that'll put this team currently into 5th place. The smile is slowly creeping on her face. Yeah. And what it could have been with that death spiral, but another lesson learned, of course. Our next team represents France. 15-year-old Clea Liget-Latus Alan Daniel Fisher. He's 19 years old. Last year, they were 15th in Ostrava Junior Grand Prix, and this season they moved up 10 spots to 5th in week 1 in Riga. I'm looking for a strong finish here in Ankara.
And this, the final of the 4 teams that are competing in back-to-back assignments. There's a 45.87 score in their short program 1 week ago. Clearly, Liget-Latus and Alain Daniel Fisher from France. It's been interesting because we've been able, as I say, to make the comparison for 4 of the teams week on week. And Clelia and Alan now, I believe, will be the team that are going to make the biggest jump and score from event to event.
Yeah, and you can see the big smile on both their faces at the end of the program, and they're just thrilled coming off the ice. You're just getting better every step out.
It's interesting because you can't quantify what the experience can give, but it feels like the coaches can say all the information, but the experience of the competition just seems to have boosted the confidence levels, and I think thus the components will be much higher for this team.
Well, it gives you trust.
Perceived confidence.
It gives you trust when it happens in competition to listen more closely to your coaches and believe that there is a positive pathway, and stop doubting yourself. And you take a look at the double twist here, level 2, double axles, nicely done. And stretched, matching curves. Group 5 reverse lift here. So strong. Look at the flow across the ice. Good ice coverage all the way down to the end of the rink. Level 4. And the back inside death spiral. It's just a level 1, so we haven't really seen high levels of difficulty in the death spirals in this event at this point. Yeah, nice.
Oh, and so that Marciello, who we saw last week, further investigate, he could become a team mascot for their team. So there are other skaters at home that know Marciello as well. Okay.
You're really good. I'm telling you. You're like CIA, MI5. You learn about the mascot.
He might even get an Instagram account, apparently.
There you go. Season's best, 50.52 for Clelia and Alan. And that'll put them currently in third place.
32.
Yeah.
Last year when they did the Junior Grand Prix, they had a 32-point short program. Now they're over 50.
And think about the boost in confidence and the comfort they have now on the ice in competition. Is that now we get it. They won't always skate clean and perfect for sure, but now they get the type of mental zone that they have to be in order to do what they've trained to do. Wow, that's awesome. And there's a look at the standings so far with 4 teams yet to skate. Okay, Mark, any questions?
Yes, we do. Some interesting questions. Question coming in from @NS_ZN. Is 15 too late to practice this beautiful sport, knowing that I am good at gymnastics? And that's
15 as in 1-5?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, no.
I mean, not too late at all. And I think it's a really interesting question because I love working with adult skaters, and adult skaters are such a joy to work with, and quite often I can find myself saying to them that age shouldn't be a limit. I think though to start skating at 15 with no education in the sport, it depends what the aspirations are. If somebody's aspiring to compete at Junior Grand Prix, no, I think that you're not going to make Junior Grand Prix if you start at 15 because there's just not sufficient years or time to amass the level that you would need to probably get out of your country, whatever country you're trying to represent. However, I'm also of the belief, Ted, that nothing is impossible. If somebody started skating at 15 and if they had a good gymnastics strength and range of flexibility, it's not to say it's too late. It takes time. Each of these athletes has probably been training for 10 years to get to this point.
Well, look, I mean, I think that, at the age of 15 and you're starting and you're that coordinated in gymnastics, you can probably not think about juniors and target seniors, and once you learn the skills, I mean, obviously. So I agree with you. Never say never, but it is a later start. But if you're starting already with the athleticism that a gymnast requires, then you're already starting with something that you need. So that's the good news. So, and it all depends on how you take to the blades, because these are not running shoes. These are blades, and they run across the ice, and your balance level and the danger, and they're knives, as you often say. So there's a whole different control factor in ice skating that there isn't in with shoes on, with running shoes, or in gymnastics. They're not putting one sport down above the other. It's not the point. The point is that this is a slippery surface. So it is a little bit more difficult, and that has to be learned first. How to skate basic.
Yeah, and I think when I think back to thinking of the famed names in our sport, I think I need to fact check, but I'm pretty sure Johnny Weir, who was American national champion, started at 12 years old. And I think Kimmy Meisner, who went on to land triple axel and became a world champion, I think she started at about 11. So that just gives you an indication. Because the reason I mentioned the ages 11 and 12 is because the majority of these athletes on the ice now will have started around 6 or 7 years of age.
Yeah.
So conventionally, it's younger. But world medals or national titles aren't out of the question because others have achieved that at the starting age of maybe 12.
It's incredible what the human body and mind can do. So it all depends on that individual person. If they have a passion for the sport, and they want to learn it, and they spend the time, and they have a good guidance, and you never know what can happen. Okay,
other questions that have come in. Yeah, a good question from @GeorgeMum47. How do you distinguish turns and steps for figure skaters?
Well,
so if I was to kind of break down the question for those that maybe don't understand necessarily what the question is, each of the pair teams will have to perform a step sequence as an element in their short program. And within that step sequence, there are various different types of turn and step that can dictate the level. So you'll see the skaters turning in different directions, forwards and backwards, and in different ways. And that's an interesting question to be posed to us, Ted, because you did figures as a skater, so you will have learnt your different rockers, counters, brackets on figure patterns. I competed in this system, so I had to do these prerequisite steps. I had to do them, so I spent so many years just seeing them that for me, I don't have to think about it too much. It'd be an interesting case study to hear of those that have learnt the different turns without actually having performed them. I know skating parents have learnt, an axel. They can see that because they've seen their child or whatever do it. I'd love to know how many people have learnt the turns correctly without having ever performed them.
Well,
that would
I
be
think
an interesting analysis.
Yeah, I think that's difficult to just watch it and read it. If it's in super slow motion, maybe, but in a full speed step sequence, the difference between the rocker and the counter and the bracket, and the three turn, and all those types of things, it comes to the quickness of recognition if you've done it. But I agree with you. We just saw a picture.
Interestingly,
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
We saw a picture of Megan.
No, you go on.
We saw a picture of Megan Duhamel, former world champion, coaching Megan Yudin and Patricio, the first team out in this group. I haven't seen her at a junior Grand Prix, actually.
Yeah, great to see world champions giving their knowledge to the next generation. I was just going to mention, Ted, that there's a request for us to film the different turns on a Ted and Mark Basics. So maybe we'll see if time allows.
Oh, that would be
maybe
good.
That's a good.
Okay, I'll tell you what. You do the turns, I'll coach you.
I'm fine with that. I'll have a lesson, gladly.
Yeah, I know. As if you need it. You're a nice dancer.
I miss being a student. That's one thing I miss.
Yeah. Now that we know more, now listen, right? So when you're younger, So now you're really, and that's what's great about teaching the adults is they want to learn and they want to be there, so they pay attention, and that's what makes the joy of coaching those adult skaters so magical, because you're dealing with a student who really wants to hear the information. Here we go. Final group, second event. After this, the men's short program. And there's Megan Yudin, formerly from Kelowna, skating in singles, good single skater, and also started pair skating in Canada. She's now with Patricio Romano Rossi Lopez. She's 17, he is 22.
And Megan and Patricio will skate to Fever and Burning Love by Elvis Presley.
kiss me, fever when you hold me tight. Fever in the morning, fever all through the night. Everybody's got the fever that is setting you on. Fever isn't such a new thing. Fever's starting on.
Oh, good to see the hug share between Megan Yudin and Patricio Romano Rossi Lopez representing Spain here and submarring the Group 5 lift. A solid performance for a team that are just together, and it's just unfortunate that I think that's the first lift that we've had a major mistake on within this event, but it's such a costly and valuable element. So,
and you were talking about the difference in the rotational, because they both jumped to the right clockwise, but on the twist, was it the twist that they go the opposite direction?
Yeah.
When was it?
Yeah, fascinating. So my understanding from Coach Megan de Hamel explaining that because here's the twist where she rotates anti-clockwise, but Megan was looking for a partner. Here now they do double axels clockwise rotation. And she realized that because she jumped in a clockwise rotation, which is less conventional, we'll just have a little look at what. Where you at? Sorry, Ted, as we cast our minds away from that frustration for the team with the lift going down. But because she realized that jumping the direction that she does, which is less conventional, would perhaps make it less likely for her to find a partner, she learned the twist, as you said, she was a single skater, more common anti-clockwise rotation. So now she's learned that element one direction, but naturally jumps the other, and yet she's gone and found a partner in Patricio who does jump the same way as her. So it confuses me as to why they've stayed with the split twist to the left and they jump to the right. But
we'd have to
works
ask the coach there, Megan Duhamel.
Yes.
She would know. But I think obviously there's a comfort zone, and I think they did the twist pretty well. I mean, it is in at a level 3 double twist, but that was the opposite direction of rotation for her. Let's take a look. 42.56 for Megan and Patricio, and that put them currently into 9th place.
And I mean, knowing that we could add 6 or 7 points easily to that, it shows that the team's got huge potential.
Yeah.
Just with that list.
Our next team represents the United States of America, 17-year-old Reagan Moss and 19-year-old Jacob Galbavy. Second Junior Grand Prix season. Last season they were 6th and 9th finishes on the Junior Grand Prix. They are the American Junior Champions.
And let me dance be coming home someday. Lucky I'm here with my best friend. Lucky to have been where we have been. Lucky to be coming home again. My heart with song and let me sing forevermore. Tell me how the lucky one worship and adore. In other words, I love you.
American team, Regan Moss and Jakob Galbavy, and they're just such an endearing team. They skate with such an openness, and they seem very honest in their interpretation. It's a delightful piece of music, and they just seem perfectly. Look, even
Yeah.
the way in which they
Yeah.
respect each other.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
endearing. I like
Jakob
them.
had a smile from ear to ear throughout that whole program, and I don't think it was a fake smile. It was just like he loved to be out there, and things are going well. That was great.
Yeah. And there's a team like Neve Davison and Daniel Borisov who their rink had closed and they've had to relocate and skate through the night. So they've had 11 weeks of skating literally through the night. So far from optimal, yeah, you would never know from the smiles on the faces.
There's the triple twist that comes in at a level 2. You can see the smile still on his face, just in enjoying every moment. Here's the double axels. Watch hers. Legs are sort of twisted in there a little bit, but she did a great job to stay on her feet. There's the throw. Double flip. The hands go down. And there's a group 5 difficult entry. Backing up into that lift. It's a level 4, so getting all 4 features. You see him blow a kiss in the middle of those rotations when she's on one hand above him. I'm going, wow. He was in the moment.
It's confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the back inside
Boosting that GOE wherever you can.
Yeah. And level 2 here for the back inside death spiral. Quick entry and pretty close boot and head. There we go.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. They just seem to have
They're happy.
such an openness about them. Yeah, joyful. Love it.
Sure,
But now,
Perkins.
it's a bit more serious.
Yeah, exactly. 53.61 for Regan and Jakob. That'll put them in a second place, and they look thrilled. Pretty close. Almost tied. Two teams to come. Our next team represents Hungary. Lily Wilberforce and Moses Joseph Berei. Lily formerly represented Canada in pairs on the Judy Grand Prix many years ago. Now represents Hungary with Moses.
And this team received an ISU scholarship award to support their training.
Can't take my eyes off of you. You're just like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. As long as love is arrived, and I just thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. I love you, baby, and if it's quite alright, I need you, baby, for the lonely nights, my pity.
just too good to be true.
Lily Wilberforce and Moses Joseph Berei representing Hungary. And you'd said, Ted, that in practice you'd seen some really solid stuff from Lily and Moses, but as a new team, still just trying to acclimatise to one another under the pressure of competition, and so perhaps not entirely reflective of their potential of that performance.
No, their elements in isolation were much better than what we saw here, but that's the case in most people for sure. But early on in their development, you know, difficult elements under pressure, but you got to learn them at some point. So let's take a look at some of the elements here in the short program. There's the twist, comes in at a level 2 triple twist, not too bad. Double axles, watch Lily, and she lands forwards. That's a downgrade, so that they'll lose quite a few points on that. Here's the double flip throw, double left throw, pardon me. Back inside death spiral here. This is the level 3, so that's well done. Look at the speed and how many rotations. I think they get 3 on that.
That's the best level death spiral of the event, I do believe.
A little slow going up in the group 5 axle lift. Pretty smooth the rest of the way. That's the level 4, so all 4 of the features accomplished. And the step sequence level 3, which is pretty good.
And Severin Kiefer, their coach, with them in the kiss and cry. And again, you know, it's not the case that a great skater makes a great coach, but knowing Severin and knowing all of his experiences, you just know that then they're in such capable hands with a coach like that who has experienced so much and has so much wealth of knowledge to give to the students and care for the students. And nice to see the care there from Moses now, just looking, checking in. I can sense energetically checking in with the partner to see that they're okay.
Yeah. It's a single axle, so one of them did a single axle. I don't know if you saw that. I'm just listening to the technical panel right now. So that rather than a double downgrade, it is a single axle.
So that does not hit the, it had to be a double loop or double axle for the junior pairs this season, so they have to have gone for that, so thus they will have received no value whatsoever.
Yeah, no value, 0 on that element.
Shame.
Short program score for Lily and Moses, 43.55, and that'll put them into 9th place. But they'll take a look at the report card and go, wow, what happened here? But I didn't see which one did the single. I know that she...
No, I was looking at her.
Yeah, so he probably did the single because both of us were looking at her, so... Our next team represents China, Guo and Zhang. 14 and 18 years of age, they were China's junior champions, 3rd in senior last season. They're coached by Hong Bo Zhao.
I'm a symbol of madness. You're a lover of the tragic.
Guo and Zhang from China skating a blinding short program to conclude the junior short program at this second stage of the Junior Grand Prix in Ankara. And it's going to be interesting to see how this compares with the leaders and last week's winners, Eva Kemp and Dion and Elizarov. Very different in energetic delivery, but I think from the TES perspective, the technical element score will be higher for you.
Yeah, I think so. You have to take into consideration that throw, which is just ridiculously huge and so well done. The lifts as well. And Eva and Jonathan are fantastic, and they've improved so much. But take a look at this. Throw, triple flip. Look at the distance across the ice and how solid that landing was. That plus GOE on that throw of 1.89, so 7.19 for that one element. The double axles were no problem here. Nice matching of takeoff timing and landing. And here's that Group 5 reverse lift, but forward entry. And how easy the turns are. Change of position was so simple and clean, and no hesitation on the rotation on the turns. And then the back inside death spiral. This is in the level 3. So top score right now is 63.95. That's what they'll need to take the lead.
And this is,
Must carry a little.
This is a Junior Grand Prix debut.
They also have a little bit of a swag too, a little confidence. You can see that in the attitude on the ice and massive elements. Wow.
And I suppose whilst it's very, very different in stylization, as I mentioned, to the Canadians that lead the field at this place in time, it's great that there's then competition. So we've had, a competition is now brewing for the gold medal in Ankara in the pairs event.
Well, 64.85, and that'll put Rio and Ivan into first place for the moment. No, for the short program. There it is. There's the standings, but it's ever so close. It's going to happen in the free program, of course. Interesting pair event. It'll come down to the free program as it always does. And in the last couple years, it's been China and Canada battling for the podium on the Junior Grand Prix. We'll take a look at the standings after the short program. Mark, your final comments.
Well, great to see 15 teams competing in the Junior Grand Prix, and as I mentioned just briefly ago, great to see that it is a competition brewing. There's not a standout runaway leader. We have an event to look forward to seeing who will take gold and the 15 points towards the final.
Okay, well, that concludes our coverage of the pairs short program. We have one event left. That'll be the men's short program. That'll start at 1900 hours here in Ankara. We hope you've enjoyed the coverage so far. We hope that you'll join us for the men's short program. For Mark Hanratty, I'm Ted Barton. Thank you for watching. We'll be back with the men's short.